And welcome back to Punchline. We saw Mount Kenya leaders gather in Sagana for pretty much the first time, reportedly in a year, where they met the president face-to-face and told him what their concerns were. Well, joining us now to enumerate what exactly the region wants from President Kenyatta is Governor Francis Kimemia, who also happens to double up as the chair of the region's governors. Welcome to Punchline.
Thank you.
We've seen some leaders from Mount Kenya in the last 24 hours or so being cautiously optimistic of the president's Sagana meeting. Do you foresee a ceasefire and a united voice going into 2022?
I see a more promising future.
Okay.
And you see, between now and the next general elections, we see this country becoming more secure, more prosperous, and more directional. I think in terms of where we are heading to, we are elected to deliver development in the county, not to politic. But you can see we have spent most of our time politicking. I think the fact that we are able to focus on those things that really concern Wananchi, the issues of coffee, the issues of roads, the issues of power in the homes and our education system, our hospitals, the agenda of tea, potatoes, vegetables, like what concerns Nyandarua people, or Kenya people, or Meru people, that Kanithi, the entire 10 countries that I represent, that I chair the governors. I think we saw our agenda and we give the president our issues, and was able to say that he will meet us next week, and we start now chatting the way forward, county by county.
But you started with quite a statement. You said that you foresee going forward, the country being more prosperous and all of that. Yet, as they are saying now, vitu kwa ground is different, right?
Yes.
There's a feeling that all of that is lacking. Are you purely basing your confidence in a prosperous Kenya on the fact that the president will be able to rally at least central Kenya leaders to toe the line and purely focus on development?
Yes, we have always wanted development to be the key concern in the counties. Of course, you can't stop a few of us, wanting to bring in politics and so on. But most of the leaders who were elected by the people, were elected on a platform of socio-economic development. And the fact that meeting focused more on developmental issues, and the fact that we are meeting after that meeting to discuss county-specific development agenda, I think I see a better future.
How much can be done in 3 years if 7 have been wasted?
A lot, not 7. 7 have not been wasted. None of the years have been wasted either way, because development is still taking place. If you come to Nyandarua, we are still developing our county. We still have money for devolution taking place. The national government has its own agenda, but a lot can be achieved in less than 2 years. If you recall 2006, when you completed the so-called referendum, the referendum that took place in 2006, we were able to do a lot. Between 2005, when the referendum took place, and 2007, President Kibaki was able to move this country to 7.1% economic development. Once people are united and focused on a socio-economic agenda, and they are not drilling political agendas, people can be able to achieve a lot in the country.
You've mentioned some of the areas where you want to see something happen, and during the meeting you'd have even area residents chanting out what their concerns were. They talked about tea, they talked about coffee, they talked about milk.
Yes.
But specifically there
potatoes.
And potatoes and
yes.
rice, I believe,
yes.
and water and
yes.
issues like that.
Yes.
I think you also mentioned issues regarding electricity connection, correct?
Yes, yes.
Having said that, if you could just focus on one component right now, which is coffee sector reforms,
yes.
because a report was presented to the president by a kind of parliamentary caucus.
Yes.
What is it that you want specifically the president to do regarding the fortunes of coffee farmers?
I think we would like to see him bring down the brokerage. There's too much brokerage, too many middlemen in between, so that even the so-called 3 billion shillings, which you want released to farmers, even if that goes out and you still let the market be driven by brokers, driven by self-interest, if the national government doesn't take over the issue of marketing, because counties can't market on their own, you need a force from the national government. That's what other countries are doing. The national governments are leading in terms of the competitive agenda of marketing your tea, marketing your coffee, your international produce, whether it's potatoes or flowers and so on. The president has to really come in and galvanize the entire marketing strategy for for coffee.
Of course, milk is another big issue, and there's been a huge concern regarding the prices that farmers are getting for their produce. What do you want the president to do about that?
We would like him to contain the illegal importations. We are aware that some of the neighboring countries, I don't want to mention their names, are importing milk from outside, whether real or powder form, and then channeling it into Kenya, whether through panya routes or whatever routes. That must be contained. We saw that taking place even during the past administration, the third administration on sugar. They would import sugar, repackage it into their national flags, and then bring it back, bring it into Kenya and literally almost bring down the sugar industry in this country. It's happening in milk. We are selling as low as 20 shillings per kilogram.
Has the dairy board been partisan in this matter?
They appear to be overwhelmed. They appear to be overwhelmed. I think they need to be supported by the Minister of Agriculture. The Minister of Agriculture must come out and play a much bigger role on the milk politics. Yeah,
when you talk about development from Mount Kenya region, the rest of Kenyans must be wondering, what are you grumbling about? Mount Kenya, Rift Valley have had the lion's share of development since independence. And if at all, the president has been paying attention to other regions, some of these people may be thinking it's still a little too late. We've been neglected since independence. Can Mount Kenya leaders, come with honesty to the table and say that they have not seen development compared to areas like Nyanza or Northeastern or even the coast?
They can, because you see, if you look at the distribution of the cake, the national cake, if you look at the budget, there is parity. There's parity and equity of treatment in terms of the distribution of resources in the nation. There is no favoritism when it comes to the Central Kenya region, even though they produce much more. I think we have to agree that the productivity into the national GDP is much high from the Central region. And I think time has come when we must really empower those who produce also to at least get a fair share of the national cake, not more than others, but a fair, equitable, distribution of. When I can't move potatoes, yet I lead in potato production in this country, as Nyandarua. I'm number 2 on milk, but my roads are impassable. We have no water, we have no power, we have no health. The socio-economic system is not very, it's not supported by the national GDP. We are the 8th richest county, if you look at Nyandarua. But just give an example. But in terms of the below poverty line, we are way below the poverty line by 1%. It doesn't make sense that you are the 8th richest as a county, but you are below the poverty line. So it means the macro and the micro economics don't seem to tally. That's what we are complaining about.
And arguably the rest of the country would make similar arguments, maybe not necessarily on output, but something is not working out. But having said that, we saw the president talk about what he would wish to see in BBI, and one of the things he talked about is not just one man, one vote. He talked about one man, one shilling. Now, you have advocated for the position that Central Kenya governors will support any constitutional change that will mean more resources to counties.
Yes.
What did you understand by what the president said about one man, one shilling, and how that may affect any proposals on the divisions of revenue for that?
I think the way to understand it in terms of economics is literally the issue of equity. Is that it should be one man, one vote, one man, one vote. Whether it translates to one man, one shilling, that is an issue of the economists to really go and do the analytics. But it is one man, one vote.
For instance, some governors have been saying that you can't allocate resources based on land mass and ignore population. Is that an argument?
That is an argument, because you budget for people. You don't budget for just the geographical, forests and areas that are not. You budget for the people, and the same people who are the taxpayers. But you also, in the equation of distribution, you cannot leave out the area. There are some areas that are too big. If you look at, say, Marsabit, it's a very large county. You may give them some fraction because of the size. Both people still have to traverse in those areas. So you still have to develop those areas, irrespective of whether there are people or not. But it can't take all the resources, but some resources must be put. That's why in the formula that is developed by the CLA, the issue of square kilometers comes in. But the population takes the higher percentage, because you budget for people. If you're buying medicine, it's for the people. If you're bringing food, it's for the people. If you're talking about taxation, you tax people. You don't tax areas that are not producing anything.
Okay. Finally, and briefly, a section of the press are reporting that President Kenyatta said he does not mind becoming Prime Minister in 2022. Is that the case? And would you, as Mount Kenya governor, support any constitutional change that would see President Kenyatta in some shape or form, whether as Prime Minister or something else, return to power in 2022?
I don't remember him saying that he would like to become a Prime Minister, but he said people are alluding, people are alleging that he may want to become a Prime Minister, he may want to become a President, he may want to become a deputy, but he was saying nobody hates power, but he didn't say that he wants to become Prime Minister or Deputy President, but it was in a light touch.
How do you know it was a light touch?
No, you could tell, because you could tell from his body language. It was very clear. It was very clear people are putting things into his perspective that were not actually his perspective. What he would like is to see a united country, is to see a prosperous country. He would like to see inclusivity. What I heard him say is that he would like to see that once you restructure the government, everybody must feel part and parcel of that structure, not just two tribes or two communities who possibly grab power or win power. Because of their numbers. I think that's the context in which
he said those remarks.
Yes.
Governor Francis Kimemia, thank you for your time.